Welcome to Lunch with Legacy Leaders, a weekly talk show with local and national thought leaders on issues impacting the Black community. Now introducing our host, Miss Ann Marie Sorrell.
Good afternoon and welcome to Lunch with Legacy Leaders. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I am your host, Ann Marie Sorrell, President and CEO of the Mosaic Group. I want to first thank you for joining us this afternoon and thank you to our sponsors, Florida Lottery and Florida Power and Light, for making this broadcast possible. Today we have a very special guest, one of our great leaders in South Florida's tourism and hospitality industry. Let us welcome Ms. Connie Kinnard, Vice President of Multicultural Tourism and Development for the Greater Miami Conventions and Visitors Bureau. One moment as we bring Connie on.
There you go.
Hi, Connie, there you are. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, you have been doing so many wonderful things, particularly in the Miami area, but we hear about you and see about you all across South Florida. So thank you for joining us. I can't wait for our audience to learn more about you and all the amazing work that you are doing and have done in our community. And I'm going to start by just reading your bio so that our audience can get to know you a little bit better. Connie Kinnard is Vice President of Multicultural Tourism and Development for the Greater Miami Conventions and Visitors Bureau. Ms. Kinnard leads the department in efforts to promote the multicultural neighborhoods, attractions, and events in Miami. She also supports convention travel sales initiatives in securing business. The Multicultural and Tourism Department not only leads efforts internally, but under Connie's leadership, the department spearheads external business development programs in the heritage neighborhoods for tourism capacity building, along with a cultural program called Art of Black Miami. And I have participated in Art of Black Miami. Lots of fun. Art of Black Miami is a marketing platform that highlights all forms of art in Miami that touches the African diaspora. Connie has worked in the hospitality industry for over 25 years. Really? You look like you're 29. How? And holds a master's degree in management from the University of Phoenix and a Bachelor of Business Administration from Tennessee State University. She is active with numerous civic and service organizations and has served on various professional boards throughout her career. Connie has been in Miami for almost 5 years now and loves promoting the culture and diversity found in the 305. Prior to joining CVB, Ms. Kinnard worked for the Nashville Conventions and Visitors Corporation for 19 years and held the position of SVP of Multicultural Sales and Development. Wow. Well, thank you for being here in South Florida and welcome to Lunch with Legacy Leaders.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. To Dexter Bridgman, of course, for his continued support. Just happy to be here.
Absolutely. So tell us about your role at the Greater Miami CVB.
So I am Vice President of Multicultural Tourism and Development. And what that means is about 5 years ago, the Convention Bureau formed a department specifically to help elevate, celebrate, enhance, bring closer our heritage neighborhoods to tourism. Tourism is our number one industry in this area. And there are some communities that did not benefit as greatly as others. So our goal in the multicultural development is to bring those businesses, connect the dots to tourism, but as well as working with our convention sales to bring conventions here, working with events that are our cultural events to support them and just elevate them so that, it's about tourism, but it is about community. So our department helps to send the message that we are multicultural Miami, we are Black Miami, and that there are other things here than the water and the weather, which we love, but there are other things here, as well as work locally to build trust, to build relationships. There are a lot of people that don't even know what the Convention Bureau does. And hopefully in our multicultural initiatives, grassroots, that more and more people understand tourism, understand what we do, and hopefully we're able to connect the dots so that everybody benefits from tourism.
Absolutely. And I will say that since your arrival, I definitely have seen much more visibility in the Black community from the Miami CVB. So kudos to you all for the efforts that you're putting in.
Thank you. Thank you.
So tourism, as you stated, is one of Florida's, and particularly South Florida's, top industry that drives the economy. Right. How has COVID-19 impacted your industry?
You know what? It impacted a lot. I'm gonna just give you some numbers. These are 2018 numbers, just to give you a feel of tourism. In 2018, the numbers, we had 16.5 million overnight visitors. And that went up from 2017. So I say that to say it went up. All anticipation was each year, tourism is stronger, the cruise industry stronger. But in addition to that, 16.5 million overnight visitors and 6.8 million day trippers. So people who are driving in here, coming from, say, West Palm, coming from wherever, to make a total of 23.3 million visitors. Our economic impact for that total number is 18 billion for this area. Wow. I would to say, definitely COVID-19 will impact us, has impacted us. Numbers as to where that's going to fall, we don't know at this point in time. But if you think about it, starting really for us right after the Super Bowl, that time frame is when things broke loose, and of course things had to start canceling and all that. So we're talking from mid-March to now, to whenever, that travel basically is little to none, very, very small in comparison to those numbers that I just read. Right. So it is impacting our industry. It is impacting it. Our budget specifically, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, comes from the lodging tax and those things that are on hotels. So wow. That's why we always talk about conventions and room nights so much, and how whatever we do impacts that, because that's where our budget comes from. So a lot of this is to be determined, the future. But in this world, we're optimistic. Hospitality, tourism, we're always optimistic that it'll turn around. Absolutely.
So let me ask you, with the impact affecting the bed tax, basically. Mm-hmm. And I know some of the local hotels are pushing for staycations to kind of market to more residents. Right. Does that actually have a positive impact on your budget at all?
Yeah. I mean, it does. It's kind of like this. Look, we need to kind of take what we can get right now. Everybody, there's nobody that has the optimal situation right now, because safety's first. I mean, we believe that as much as this is hitting our industry from multi levels, because cruise lines, I mean, we're the cruise capital of the world. So if cruise is not going, it affects us. If international markets are not traveling, it affects South Florida in particular. So all of this affects us. But staycations, they're great. As things turn around, the drive market will be a big market that will push, because there'll be people that may feel more comfortable driving in than flying. Right. So under a campaign that we call Miami Shines. So if you hear the word Miami Shines, it is the Bureau's recovery marketing campaign, to which we've actually had to kind of pull back a little bit, because with the spike, you just have to be respectful of what's going on. But in that campaign, things like you're mentioning, staycation, drive markets, and things that you can do to help recover are some things that will support. Just like right now, we're supporting Miami Spice, which hopefully everybody listening has heard of. It is organized by the GMCVB. Typically, it happens 2 months out of the year, like July and August timeframe. But we've actually started it right now, so that maybe it can help push revenue in the restaurants. Mm-hmm. You know, so we're doing what we can, and even that's affected with this latest update that restaurants can function, but outside dining only, and then delivery and takeout. So this is a evolving thing. So you kind of gotta, we're gonna use the word, you gotta pivot, you gotta kind of figure it out as we go.
Absolutely. Wow. Yeah, it's definitely taking its toll, and the fact that things that it's, I think it's almost inevitable if our numbers don't go down, that things are going to unfortunately shut down again. And that's going to just be a huge blow to our hospitality community. So I'm hoping that people will just mask up, stay home if you don't need to be out, so we can get these numbers down.
Right.
Not have to shut down.
Right. And it's about safety first and foremost. And then in addition, it's about jobs, because hospitality, you know, we think of hotels, most probably people think that first, but it's such a ripple effect. There are a lot of people that this is affecting their livelihood and their jobs and things like that. So the quicker that, you're right, we're able to help get it right. Some of this, I think, is just what it is. We're going through our time. I guess generations have had different things. This is ours. But masking up and doing all those things could really help safety, save lives, and help people get back to work and take care of their household. So.
Absolutely. Now, the focus on multicultural tourism and events has been on the rise around the country. And it was very exciting to see, you know, heritage tours and multicultural tourism really just blossoming over the past few years. But now with this pandemic, how do you think the pandemic is affecting that trend, and what do you think the future outlook is?
Yeah. So one of the things about in it a long time, you start to know people all over the U.S. and international, because we kind of, for lack of a better, grew up together in this. So I will tell you, I have some friends and some counterparts in other places that are in this space of multiculturalism, and some of them have been let go or furloughed.
Mm-hmm.
It is affecting that space. I will have to say, I don't know our total outcome for the Convention Bureau here from a standpoint of, you know, we've all taken pay cuts, our whole staff. We took pay cuts. We cut some of our contract work. We cut the fat as much as we could. One of the things I will say is, at least right now, multicultural for us has not been cut. As a matter of fact, between the two pandemics that have gone on, the pandemic of racism and the pandemic of COVID, I think actually us being in our department, our multicultural team, the push has been a good thing, because we've also been able to help in areas of that as well. So we're fortunate here in Miami. I'm fortunate, our team, we're fortunate that that's the case. But I'll be honest with you, in other places, it's hard, because it's not all about multiculturalism from a standpoint. It's about the economics. Some of those places, bureaus just can't survive. So again, we're in a time where multiculturalism, support of our Black brothers and sisters, our Latino brothers and sisters, there's a lot going on. It's more important now that these positions and areas don't get cut.
Right. Absolutely. Which brings me to my next question. You've definitely been, the Greater Miami CVB has definitely been more supportive of Black events and initiatives. One, why is this important? And can you talk about some of your efforts, and then how those efforts may even move forward or not move forward in the future?
Okay, so first thing is very important to promote Black Miami and the Black the culture that we have here in Miami, because it makes up who we are. It really is the vibe and the fuel behind Miami. I mean, we're a fusion of a lot of things, but definitely our Black heritage is a part of it. Whether it's our neighborhoods, whether it's Overtown, it's Little Haiti, it's our Afro-Cubans in Little Havana, Coconut Grove, Miami Gardens, Perrine, Richmond Heights, and all that. It's very important to showcase that. And where, from a bureau standpoint, we can help to bring economic connections to those areas is very important, because as I mentioned when I first started, it's about connecting the dots. There's so many in this tourism world that never benefited from tourism in our communities. And so it's important because it's about the green, it's about the money, it's about livelihood. But honestly, we have a lot to showcase in Miami. So it's very important to that first question. And then to some of the things that we have done, our department is broken up into 3 areas. And one of the areas that we have is what's called our tourism business enhancement area, where we've been working with businesses that are minority owned, Black owned, small business owners to help in capacity building. So we refer some of those businesses to the Miami Bayside Foundation to take those sessions. We follow them and work with them to help connect the dots to tourism. We host programs and sessions ourselves, whether it's social media, whether it's legal, whether it's business continuity. We do that for some of our partners, GMCV partners, and just community people. Education and connecting the dots is what we're trying to do. And then in our Art of Black program, which is really a part of this bigger tourism business enhancement, because people think art, they think the creative space of it, which it is that, but it's a business too. Mm-hmm. And so the Art of Black Miami that you had mentioned you're a part of is honestly about promoting those artists, promoting their work, showcasing our museums, so that people will understand that you can come to Miami and buy some great art. You can come to Miami and experience some very unique cultural things in that creative space that a person who may come here just for the beach all the time may not know, but we want them to come early and stay late. That's what we say in the hotel hospitality. Come early, stay late. If you're here for the beach, that's fine, but you come early and go to some of our art places and creative spaces, or stay late and do some of those things. So Art of Black Miami is a platform to help elevate art and artists, because we should, number one, it's the fabric, and then also connecting the dots so that that economic impact can flow. And then to your last question about how it looks in the future, well, I'll just be really honest with you. We don't know how anything really looks as far as this budget. I think that I can be safe in saying that there will be a footprint always to help our businesses to elevate where we can our multicultural space. What that will look like, I can't say, because hopefully, as you've seen, Ann Marie, we've tried to do make some impact, make some strides, to get out there. There's some money behind some of this that you're seeing. We're trying to put it out there. We may not be able to do it in that same level this next year, but we'll still be in the mix, hopefully with the optimism that within a year, travel will turn, it'll pick back up. We'll get a vaccine, we'll get some real treatment for this virus where people start to feel safe again.
Absolutely. And I want to go back to your funding. And I know counties, cities, state governments are really struggling right now because they still have not received the funding they need to operate, not necessarily the funding to help businesses and residents. That's a separate budget. Right. So hopefully Congress approves some money that the states and counties and cities can benefit from. Will any of those funds be able to help you guys as a CVB?
We have internally also tried to do, just like everybody in the businesses, all the things out there in the world that people are trying to apply for. There's some space for businesses of our size to also be a part of. And, we've tried to do all that that's why we're trying to keep our employees working where we can benefit from keeping people on the payroll and all those good things. So we've tried to do some of that.
Right.
Some of those grants and loans and things you're talking about really are for small business and for businesses. So we're not necessarily able to maximize on those things.
Right.
What we're trying to do right now is think smart about our budget. We had a marketing plan and a budget, of course, back in January that we just kind of X'd. And we started over and said, okay, from now through basically the end of the year, what is it that we have to do that needs to be done, that we've committed to? Let's mark those things. What are some of the things that we can do more directly related to a recovery type action? Because that's the space we're going to be in for a while. We haven't gotten to the whole real deep staff layoff cuts, but honestly, I don't know what our future will bring on that. That could be an option. I have a friend who I literally just talked to yesterday up in Orlando in the hospitality world, been in the industry for 23 years, got cut.
Wow.
So, the deal is it kind of is what it is. And so, but we'll do what we can to kind of move things along. But our budget, thankfully, we did have the Super Bowl. So we think about this. We said, gosh, what if this had hit right before the Super Bowl?
Right.
Like, wow, that would have been major. So as far as economics, we had a bit of a spike in revenues right in the February timeframe that kind of is helping. Plus, Miami typically is a high occupancy city. So up until March, our occupancies were in the 80 percentile range as far as hotels. So that's good.
Right.
So for us, we're able to kind of, like how they say, sipping from the salsa, sipping from the salsa. We're sipping from the salsa right now to be able to get through. That's why you see me, I'm able to speak, still employed and everything, but we will have to take a hard look here in the next few months at our budget to see how we'll be able to maintain.
Okay. Well, I do hope that the states and our government get the budgets they need from the federal side to be able to operate, to, do the things that you have to do in your job. And then, of course, police, fire, and all the other things that we have to continue to function with locally. So this question, and this is for people to think future. I know that there are many people who probably are going to need to, as we say, pivot, whether they're a current business owner, like, okay, how do I start thinking of, hopefully there's a post-COVID. How do I pivot my business and expand it? Or for those who may be looking to start a new venture and maybe considering hospitality and tourism, despite what's happening right now, what type of opportunities are there for companies that may want to do business with the Greater Miami CVB?
Sure. So I'll say now is a great time to think about all those things that you just said. It seems rough now because we're kind of halted. We're in slow motion. But now is actually the best time to start thinking ahead, looking at your business model to see how it fared during this time. Now, some of the stuff is out of our control because there are restrictions that need to be because of safety, and we get all that. But now is a perfect time to look at your business model, however, to think about other ways that you could potentially still sustain in the midst of another incident like this. Maybe it's in the midst of a hurricane. We don't want any hurricanes, but I'm just saying, maybe you ramp up your e-commerce level a lot stronger. Maybe, you collaborate here and with other people in other places so that you have dual collaboration, because maybe later, maybe we might suffer in some area, but your counterpart who's in XYZ may not. So I think it's time to really think about this. We're in it. I know personally, I'm thinking about my own bill structure. How my bills? Do I need this? if this happens to me again, how would I function? So I would say, to the first part of your question, now is a great time to really think through it and do the research. As far as how businesses can work with the GMCVB, I'll say this first. Typically, people think that working with us from a standpoint of a contract, because I'll talk about this on a couple of levels, contract to contract is the big thing. Well, I'll tell you, for us, it's not necessarily the case. Do I do partnerships? Does the Bureau do partnerships with businesses? Yes, we do. We do partnerships with Legacy MIA Magazine is one. We love our partnership. We do many partnerships, but part of the value of the Convention Bureau is the conduit and the connections that you make outside of us, through us, because of the relationship that you have with us. At the right time, partnership in the Bureau, which is a paid thing, is a good thing, because you can be at the table and you can hear more about what's going on. If anybody's interested in partnership but can't pay right now and all that, contact me. Our partnership team is trying to work with everybody, and we could have some ways to work with you. So I'll say that. But if everything was cool and the economy was pretty good, I would say connect with us. And if you have something personally that the Bureau can use as a partnership, we'll consider it, because we look at our partners. But if we can't, doesn't mean the hotel can't, doesn't mean that this restaurant that's connected to us can't, or this tour company that's connected to us, or this bus company, or this limo company, or any of the companies that are affiliated can. And we serve as a conduit to help you make some of those connections. So we're still interested in doing all of that. I would say just right now, personally, from a Bureau standpoint, we're very strategic as to the partnerships we do right now, because honestly, we just counting our coins.
Right. Which is understandable. Yeah, which is understandable. It's just really getting people in the mind frame of forward thinking.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So what you talked about partnerships. Can you dive just a little bit more into the type of support that the Greater Miami CVB has offered organizations and companies that are creating and promoting cultural, business, and community events?
Yeah. So we look at, I'll talk about events for a minute. We look at events that have the capacity or potential to bring visitors to this area. At the end of the day, a lot of what we do, we have to justify it. We have to analyze it by that, because again, going back to where our budget comes from, that's a big part of it. Then in addition, though, we also look at, is it a cultural, something that elevates the culture of Miami, right? And then we look at it from a local standpoint. Locally, what does it do to help the business? So there are different levels of things that we look at. So some of the events that we partner with, one was Jazz in the Gardens. We've been a partner with them for a while. And when I first got here, I think we were able to expand that partnership a lot since not just since I've been here. I use it as a reference point. I've been here for 5 years, so in my mind, I'm analyzing what has happened in the last 5 years for the ROI, just for the department. So I'm not saying that because of me. I'm saying that because of a timeline. I just want to be clear, because this is a collective effort for the things that. But Jazz in the Gardens is one. The American Black Film Festival is another that we're a big partner with. We work with even the Cayocho Festival as well. It brings in a lot of people, so we work there. We work with conventions and securing conventions. We have a full convention sales team at the Bureau, but we work with conventions to help close the deal or help added value to our department. Before I came to Miami, I was in convention sales as well. So I know the logistics of hotels. I've worked in the hotels before. So I know that dynamic of how you bring a convention and how you book it. So I I can kind of serve two spaces in that. So we work with like the Association of African American Museums was scheduled to be here the first week of August. Of course, they're going virtual. We have rebooked them for, I believe it's 2021. We had Tennessee State University Alumni Convention would have been here in June. We've rebooked for 2022. American Black Film Festival was June. They will be back. They're a multi-year group that we've worked with, but they're doing a virtual conference as well. And there are many others, but we serve as financial support to those entities because sometimes people don't know, but when conventions look at a city, sometimes there are financial considerations that go with booking in your city. So if it makes sense, it's got to make sense. You know, people can't ask you for $1 million and, you know, think that it's automatically going to happen or anything like that. Plus, we don't have $1 million to give like that. But
Right.
but we look at all those things: in-kind supports, financial support, all that good stuff, and we help with that if it means securing something that's diverse and of culture in Miami. So that's a continuous thing that we do, conventions, events. And then for businesses, you know, I mentioned our tourism business enhancement, whether it's for Art of Black Miami, for instance, for those entities that are doing exhibits, we have sponsorships. They apply, we look at it, and we have sponsorships that we do during the Basel time period. So we have that, and the artists that work with us know. If not, we have it on our website. I'm saying it now that, you know, this year is funny because we don't quite know how the whole Art Basel thing is going to play.
Right.
But normally during this time we do that, and so that's a funding mechanism. We work with a lot of partnerships with small businesses. So you know, we support. For instance, Ernisha Randolph, I'll give her a shout out. She was doing the sweet butter pop-ups, you know, to support that, because what we can do is take sweet butter, put it on our website, promote it to a visitor that may potentially be coming the same time that, say, she's doing that. And there you go. You have an experience for a visitor that they may never have thought of. So I'm just using her as an example, but we've done many partnerships. She happens to be a GMCVB partner as well. Work with some of the hotels, Duns Josephine on things, Copper Door on things. And some of these partnerships are in kind, some financial. It just depends on what it is that the request is and how we can tie it into our mission of driving a visitor or potentially driving a visitor. That's how we analyze it.
I love it. And I will say that, and I have to give a shout out, even, you know, God rest his soul, Al Tucker, who was such an amazing champion for the multicultural tourism industry here in South Florida, particularly with the Great Fort Lauderdale CVB. And so, you know, to our good friend, rest in peace. And, you know, just thank him for all the work he had done. And so with that, with the work he had done, with the work you're doing, do you see you guys building a model for other CVBs? I live in Palm Beach County, and I know we have so much work to do when it comes to the multicultural tourism component of our CVB. And I'm hoping that some of the people from my county are listening and can take some tips from you. Do you guys have a model that other CVBs and other cultural and tourism organizations can utilize to further the multicultural participation in their communities?
Yeah. So thank you for that question. And I want to say, Al Tucker, and I have to say this because you know how we tear up, you get emotional real quick, but Al Tucker has been a friend for years. When I was in Nashville for years, and when we started our multicultural area in Nashville, and it was really just a one-man show at that time. It was me starting doing that in Nashville. I called Al way back then, and even back then, Al sent me his whole, I want to say at that time it was marketing plan. It was like, this is like in 2000 or 1990s, whatever, whenever he started. And I say that to say, I was able to publicly thank him since I've been here, because that's what it takes. We have to share, and it takes people like the Al Tuckers of the world to share and be a mentor. So I give him all the props. So thanks for mentioning him.
Absolutely.
As far as a model, this is what I tell people, because in this industry, we tend to know each other, especially the Black people in the industry. And we do talk and we share. I don't know that there is a model from a standpoint of an actual cookie cutter flow. But what I always tell people is you have to analyze your particular area, look at your strengths in that area, and look at your weaknesses in the area, and then create a plan to fill the gaps, right? Because a Miami plan is going to be different from even a West Palm plan in some ways, because they're just different dynamics, different governmental structure in some ways, how the Bureau, and just so you know, I'm actually good friends with a new salesperson that's there. His name is Mike Jackson's been in the industry a while. They're definitely trying to do some things. I've actually talked to them. And so we're talking.
Good.
So they want to expand their space, and there should be some positive things coming from that as well. So just know that, and I can connect you all at some point if you want to do that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I always tell people to look at your assets, and then look at how you can help connect the dots. And so it's not, well, I say there's not a model. There are just some basic things I think you need to do. And then the flip side is that for the most part, we're at a point in time where nobody can hold information back. We are competitors in different cities, but look, there's a platform of multicultural development that needs to be elevated everywhere, because it includes all kind of ethnicities and heritage and cultures. In particular, we're talking about Black Miami somewhat in this particular space. It includes our Black heritage, and we don't have time to be competitive to hold back too much. I mean, I can't tell all the family secrets of Miami to everybody.
Right.
But I'm telling you, I share as much as I can, because we gotta raise this boat together.
Yes. So. Absolutely. Well, good. I'm happy to hear that we do have a new person here in Palm Beach County. I look forward to meeting and engaging with him, because I know that we're growing multicultural community, as all of South Florida is, and just want to, be a part of that growth and making sure that our community is, doing some of the same things or similar things that Broward and Miami-Dade County is doing when it comes to multicultural tourism and helping multicultural businesses, Black businesses, etc., be a part of the tourism economy. So kudos to you, and looking forward to that connection. So you have quite a bit of experience. Like I say, you look like you're 29. I don't know where you got all the experience from. 24. How has your experience prepared you for these unprecedented times, Connie?
Well, part of this is the industry, and part of it is age and life that you just go through. I mean, we did all together experience 9/11, which was a big thing. It's different from this because this is something that is affecting the whole world. We haven't really experienced anything that affects the whole world. 9/11 did affect us all in some ways, but as far as the industry and it was the New York area where it affected certain things. And then it did affect how we travel, though, from a broader standpoint, because after 9/11, if you remember, that was the time where you used to go to the gate and walk back and forth through the airport. That was no more. So we've all experienced some changing things. But I think the deal is you just have to continue to be hopeful. You got to keep your mind in the right place, because if not, this stuff it'll bring you down, and we all get down. I mean, it kind of gets a little overwhelming at times, but the deal is you don't want to stay there. So You don't want to stay there. You can go there for a minute, and sometimes you have to do that to kind of mentally work through some things, but you don't want to stay there. So I would just tell people to just, use this time that we have as growth. Continue. I know these Zooms and webinars are a lot, but you know what? Continue to do some of those. Read, write notes, because maybe in a few years you want to get that book out that you want, and at least you have your notes somewhere documented where you can pull them. Even if you're not ready now, you can do that. There are good days and there are bad days. We're not in the quote, quote, not so good from one sense, but in another sense, we're doing some things that we never would have done before. And that's sit down and be still and connect in ways that we've never done. So we'll get through this in time. We just got to kind of take it day by day. Look ahead, because this economy is it's kind of, we don't know if it's gonna actually get better sooner. So now is a good time to think about how, whether you're in the hospitality industry or personal, however, how you're gonna survive it, and you will survive it, but how you're gonna do it personally, which might be some radical things in your life. I'm thinking ahead. I'm thinking, what if my position, even if it's for a phase, needs to go on furlough? I'm just saying, because of, I'm thinking about, okay, how do I need to handle it? So I think everybody needs to start thinking about the plan, and that can be helpful, because a lot of times if you let it jump up on you real quick, that's when it kind of throws you off. But now it's kind of like, we know that this could come. We know, so start thinking about what that plan is. That plan could mean you might have to minimalize your life a little bit.
Yes.
Maybe team up with your cousin that you didn't realize y'all gonna be hanging together, but you do what you gotta do, and then it'll get greater later. It'll get better later.
Absolutely. It's definitely a time that makes us all have to pause and rethink a lot of things in our lives, but I think there's a lot of silver lining in what we're going through right now. It's many of us are able to get in touch with friends, family that we hadn't talked to before. We're able to tap into our creativity. We're able to sit back and, like you said, plan. And for those out there who may have not had that chance to tap into that, this is definitely a time for you to do so and come up with some different plans and strategies for your life and your family's life. We can only count on us at the end of the day.
That's right.
We're the ones who control us.
That's right.
So I definitely thank you for those nuggets that you've shared. I thank you for all the information you've shared today. Really good to catch up with you and see what's happening within the Greater Miami CVB. I'm sure after we bounce back from this, you're going to continue to do amazing work in Miami. And we're so happy to have you as a part of our South Florida family. Please let us know anything that we can at Legacy, of course, can continue to do to support you, myself and the Mosaic group, anything that we can do to support you. I do have an event coming up, the National Black Economic Conference, August 21st to 22nd. Would love to have you as a speaker.
A virtual conference.
Absolutely. It's going to be a virtual conference. So I'll make sure I get that information to you as well.
Absolutely.
Yes. So thank you to our audience. Connie, thank you so much. We're going to do a couple of announcements. Feel free to stay on as we close out this segment. So again, thank you to our audience for tuning in. Be sure to check out our current issue, which is the political issue of Legacy Magazine, at miamediagroup.com to learn more about South Florida candidates for the upcoming August and November election. If you have not registered to vote, or if you know someone who is not registered, any recent graduates from high school who have not registered to vote, this is important, guys. We have two very critical elections coming up. It's very important that everyone gets out to vote. If you need to update your voter registration, please do so before July 20th for the August election. And just get to know your candidates. We have some amazing Black candidates running for so many positions throughout South Florida. So it's a great issue for you to pick up and learn about those candidates. If you are under 40, nominations are still open for our 40 under 40 issue that will be coming up in a month or so. So please submit your nominations for that. Next week, we'll be joined by none other than Bill Diggs, who is the president of the Broward Health Foundation. I can't wait to see what he is doing with Broward Health and learning about the foundation. And of course, just from a healthcare standpoint, how I'm sure it's going to be an interesting conversation, how the healthcare system is being impacted during this time. So as you guys know, I'm sure you can read in the news that it's definitely an impact as we move through this public health crisis. So again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Connie, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Everyone, please share this video, share with those. This is great information. If you've missed the other videos, please go to Legacy MIA Media Group's YouTube channel to check out the past interviews that we have had and share those as well. Add Lunch with Legacy Leaders to your calendar every Thursday at noon. We will see you next week, next Thursday at noon. Thank you.
Okay.